All right, LP here on Christmas Day, here to record some Christmas cheer and maybe set the record straight on a couple of different things here. We have this man, and I'm going to be polite because it's Christmas. His name is Dane, and he runs a channel called Actual Fandom. Now, Dane comes from the perspective of being on the far progressive left side of things. And my problem with Dane is if it doesn't matter what kind of good points these so-called chuds make, and we're going to get into that. If it comes from what he deems to be a chud, a alt-right grifter, Nazi, whatever sort of slur he wants to use to describe people who do not think exactly like he does, and then vilify them. That's what his channel is all about. So he comes at it from the perspective of being on the left, and the left thinks that they are right. No, they're really not, because what we've seen from the left is authoritarianism, and they're more fascist than the people they think are fascists. Because here's the one thing that the left does not incorporate, and until they do, there's always going to be a problem, and that is everyone is welcome at the table, regardless of political and ideological and social differences. Outside of being like a convicted violent criminal or sex offender, I think all opinions are welcome, and all opinions should be heard, and everyone should have a hand in producing content for the general public. When you exile a complete group of people, and I don't mean like 10% of the population, I don't mean 20, I mean 50% or more, then there's an issue, right? And so Dane has made it his personal mission to go after Comicsgate for the last 2 or 3 years, and now he is looking at attacking and canceling, vilifying normal people now, right? And not to say that Comicsgate aren't normal people, they absolutely are. But now he's gone beyond that, right? He's looking for new targets. He's looking to try and, in his mind, he's probably thinking he's punching down, but he's really punching up at guys who've been doing this a lot longer, guys like me, guys like Tyler. And he's going to find if he comes swinging our way, he's going to end up with a broken nose. You know what I mean? So let's see what's going on here. Let's see what old Dane has got to say.
Any of you incels, QAnon, 4chan, Snyder Cut motherfuckers want to get on a line now? Anybody?
So right off from his opening video, if any of you alt-right grifters, Snyder Cut guys, so you see how entertainment has really become divided. If you are a Zack Snyder fan, if you like a Snyder Cut for Justice League better than the original movie, and I thought they were both trash, to be fucking honest with you. Thought Rebel Moon was trash, to be honest with you. I'm not a Zack Snyder fanboy by any stretch of the means, but I can see how this guy thinks, if you are a Zack Snyder fan, you are a chud. Now, what's a chud? Basically, a chud, in the simplest form, is just someone who happens to vote conservative, period, right? Whether you're in Canada and you vote conservative, or you're in the US and you vote Republic, like whatever it is, right? If you go against progressivism in any shape, way, or form, deemed by the left, then you are a chud. So all these guys that he's going to be referring to here, he says Comicsgate adjacent chuds right here, okay? That's where he sees the normal person like you and I.
This gentleman here, Thinking Critical is he's one of the lesser knowns, mainly because he doesn't.
One of the lesser knowns. One of the bigger sort of not Comicsgate, but commentary channels for comic books that are out there. You call him a lesser known because you don't like what he's got to say, period. But if I was to go compare that man's subscribers and watch time compared to yours, Dane, he's not lesser known. You're lesser known. Period. End of story.
Seem to be trying to do his own comic book or fundraising for one. He seems just committed to, the narrative spreading.
You're committed to your narrative spreading. So if you're going to accuse one man of one thing, please don't be living in a glass house, which you absolutely are in this point.
Right? Yeah, Wes. I don't necessarily think that he's a grifter. I think that he probably believes the shit he's saying. It's just a lot of it's really stupid. From comic shops, what do you mean? So like he was a retailer or is a retailer? Is a retailer. Okay. Fair enough. I mean, he knows more.
Now, I don't know why you're putting so much trust in what Vickyverse has to say there, good old Dane. You understand that before she sort of came across you, she was in bed with all the people that you sort of hate, right?
About comics than generally I expect from guys that say the similar shit that he says. I'll give him that. He definitely has a weird slant to his views. He was spreading this
A weird slant to his views, meaning he's got views that you don't like. So you just can't say, hey, we got a difference of opinion. No, you got to sort of condemn it a little bit, don't you there, Danny boy?
rumor the other day from this website called Comical Opinions. As Vicky says, he's Comicsgate adjacent, but not Comicsgate. Yeah, that's kind of what I got from it. And these are the kind of guys.
And you don't read the next part where he's friendly with the iconic guys. So when she says iconic guys, she's talking about iconic comics. We're talking about Soulfiner, Common America, Black Ops or Hops, Tim Lim, Doug Ernst, Mark Pellegrini, that crew that I share a publisher with called Antarctic Press. You don't mention those guys at all, do you?
I'm going to be looking at more going forward, by the way. So I don't know, Vicky, if you have any insight on anything that you see me covering, it's definitely appreciated.
Hey, Vicky, being the inside mole that you were, you were running deep with Preston Portier, right? Remember that guy, Peggy? Like if you go back and you look at Vicky versus history of YouTube and interactions, dude, she was Comicsgate for a long, long time. It's only because of internal Comicsgate infighting that she is not. It's not that she saw the light and that you brought her to the new progressive promised land. No, 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 no. What happened is that she got in a bunch of different feuds and really had no choice but to drop the CG side and ally with you. And that's only going to be as long as that suits her benefit.
But like I'm really gaining more interest in the guys who don't necessarily claim Comicsgate or even, like draw and talk. That dude, he said him and Ethan don't like each other at all. And yet he's basically just giving more nuanced versions of what Ethan says in his video I watched recently.
So let's go back to that. Freeze frame. Draw and talk, right? Tyler Carpenter, who's been doing this now for 8+ years, John. Years, okay? I've known Tyler the moment I entered into this industry myself. I gave Tyler one of his very first interviews on YouTube. Long before, mind you, Dane, that Comicsgate was even in the womb. You know what I'm saying? There's always been, Dane, guys like me and Tyler who will criticize the industry that we are a part of. And we are a part of it. Both he and I have and are published and are in comic book shops. Now, you got to understand something. You only look at it through one lens. And you think your opponents only look through things through one lens. And you would be wrong in that assumption, that you think everyone just looks at it through one lens. I'm here to tell you, as a guy who's tried to float in the middle, but goddamn, man, if I'm not being pushed to the right on so many different occasions, that Tyler and I and guys like us don't necessarily pick a left or a right. We just pick a right and a wrong. Does that make sense to you? And we feel that a lot of times, viewpoints like yours, your attitude, your political bias is often in the wrong, But we don't necessarily say you're always wrong. And just because you might say something doesn't automatically mean we got to disagree with it because you are on the other side. This is why comic books are failing to begin with, Dane. They are failing because your side is refusing to come to the table and meet with those that you consider chuds to sort of come together and meet in the middle. Your side is refusing any meeting of the middle. And because of that, you get the Mark Waid statement where he says he'd rather see not CG burn, but the comics book industry burn than rather come to the table who he feels considers are homophobic bigots. You guys are like 6-year-olds giving names and labels to everyone. What are you but one of mine? Okay? You got to stop dehumanizing people because they vote differently than you or have a different social viewpoint than you. You guys are not gods, you're not angels, and you're certainly not the moral knights that you think that you are.
Each other at all. And yet he's basically just giving more nuanced versions of what Ethan says.
Now, Tyler and Ethan do not like each other. If you know your history, which clearly you don't. So I suggest, Dane, that you go back 5 years, watch 5 years worth of live streams. I know it's a long time, Dane, but if you're going to comment on something, goddamn well be educated on it. Okay, Tyler and Ethan have gone back and forth on Twitter and on YouTube numerous times, just like I have gone back and forth with even on YouTube. You think Ethan Van Sciver likes me? No, man, no, because I get him saying little things like this. And by the way, shout out to Wes from Thinking Critical who read this super chat. I'm going to play this super chat for you, and I want you to listen, Dane, to the very end when Ethan chimes in. All right.
And Nyobicomic says, buy exciting comics 17 to 20 published by Antarctic Press featuring Nyobi at your local comic shop today. Nyobi Outbreak on Kickstarter 3 weeks. That's very exciting stuff.
All right, Larry.
All right, Larry. You see, he don't like me, man. And here's the thing, right? I can say, yeah, I think too much left politics are being shoved into comics. And because I say that, and Ethan says that, that means I'm automatically aligned with Ethan. And in your mind, that puts me as Comicsgate, even though Ethan has never declared me Comicsgate, and I have never declared myself as Comicsgate. But you now go, okay, we gone after Comicsgate, we gone after the big ones. Now let's look at these guys like Tyler, you know. Let's start like, you know, picking these guys off one by one. Let's start canceling. Like, we've canceled CG. Yay, right? You know, fuck these fucks. Now let's go after the other guys that we also don't want, that we just think are assholes because we're going to clean up our community. You don't have the authority to do that. You don't have the right to do that. By doing that, you just become gatekeepers yourselves. And this war will go on and on and on and on and on. The only way to stop it, my friend, is that you, and I'm going to use you as the example, need to come to my table, sit down, and work with us to make the YouTube community a better place where ideas can be thrown around back and forth without fucking it being blood sports, okay? The comic book industry professionals need to come down and sit at the table. You literally need Mark Wade, Van Sciver, and a few others coming to the table with a moderator and say, okay, we're going to bring you guys in. We're going to bring these guys in. And the editor's got to go, and you guys need to make it fucking work. And don't come out of this room until hands have been shaken and an agreement has been made. And if you can't do that, Dane, if your friends can't do that, the people that you advocate for cannot do that, then congratulations, you guys put the final nail into the comic book industry as we know it today. We'll just listen to a little bit more. I really just want to cover his part on Tyler, but, you know, let's just see what else he says.
His video I watched recently. Yeah. So Geek Getaway calls out Eric July all the time because Geek Getaway is a tool for Ethan Van Sciver.
So you don't like the Geek Getaway either, even though he calls out someone you hate, which is Eric July. That's interesting because you look at it now through the lens of you think that Eric July and Ethan Van Sciver are in some kind of internal war, and that Ethan Van Sciver is the mastermind who goes to whisper in Tony's ear, hey, Geek Getaway, I need you to be my soldier on the battlefront. I need you to take out Eric July for me. It's not how it works, dude. The only reason why Geek Getaway does Eric July content is because it brings him views and it pays him on YouTube. I know, having just been recently monetized, I see exactly how the game works, dude. In fact, I'm going to make a couple of bucks off of you, right? You know, I'm going to make a couple of bucks off of you, and you're going to make a couple of bucks off of me, and Ethan's going to make a couple of bucks off of July, and July's going to make a couple of bucks off of Ethan, and Geek Getaway is going to make a couple of bucks. You know, everyone is trading around the fucking collection plate of content, just bitching at each other. But the real reason is it's not so much for the fight, honestly. It's for the money. And that should be a bigger concern for you, to be honest.
All right, so Comical Opinions, I had not heard of them, but I will say this. Their name is accurate, but not in the way that they probably want. So there are some rumors about the new X-Men comics that are going to come out once this whole fall of X thing happens. Tom Brevoort announced he was moving away from his role of overseer for such titles as the Avengers in favor of his new position as head of the X office. Speculation skyrocketed. That's all true. That's all factual. Aside from wondering what would become of Jordan White and the X Slack mainstays, okay, I guess they're focusing on the fact that they use Slack. The topic of conversation quickly shifted to two questions. What new X-Men titles for 2024 would make up the post-Krakoa era? Valid. That's my question.
I'll tell you what it should be. And we're going to see a list, and I'm going to comment on them all. But I'll tell you what it should be. You only need 2 or 3 X titles, honestly, right? And then you can have a couple like characters and solo titles. So I would have Uncanny X-Men as your front and lead ship, period, and a story. Then you can have maybe like an Astonishing X-Men or just X-Men, something like that, like a secondary X title, maybe even a third. But that'd be pushing it. And then you can have, like, you know, if you want to have an X-Force title or an Excalibur or something like that, go ahead and do that. But you definitely need like your Wolverine solo title, you know. But I wouldn't overflow it with fucking X titles. I would actually cut back on X titles and just make those books better.
Question 2. Well, we kind of know now. And who would Brevoort get to write them? Well, Comical Opinions, they received a copy of the working plan. Holy shit, how did they get that? They received a copy for the work.
The way we get fucking a lot of different things. You happen to know someone. Look, if I want sales reports for the company that publishes me, AP, I got enough connections in there. I can probably get the reports that I'm seeking for, right? The comic books is about who you know, and people got loose lips and share things maybe far too easy, Dane. It is possible for these things to happen. You know, I know it blows your man bun mind, but here we go.
Working plan with proposed titles and who Brevoort has tapped to write them. This information was confirmed by multiple sources who have been proven trustworthy in the past. But please consider this as a rumor until Marvel... Like, this is such fucking bullshit. Like, multiple sources have confirmed this. They've been trustworthy before. And then also, this is not necessarily true. Come the fuck on, man.
Well, it's not true. I mean, rumors are just that, rumors. So he's hearing it from a third-party source. He's reporting what he's hearing, okay? Don't tell me that you haven't made content on rumors. Absolutely you have. In fact, you're making content on rumors right now. Why even show this if you believe it not to be true? And there's no such thing as grifting. There's only such thing as making money and doing business.
But according to their sources, the conclusion of Rise of Powers of X will definitively put an end on the Krakoa era. Sandman, yep, you know where I'm going with this. So here are the actual titles and the creators that, keep in mind, while still rumored, multiple sources have confirmed it. Uncanny X-Men, written by Gail Simone with a Jubilee-led team.
That's probably happening. And that one I can see for sure. Not with Jubilee leading the team, but, rumor and speculation is that Gail Simone is writing X-Men. As he points out, she wrote the Free Comic Book Day X-Men, and she herself has been teasing doing X-Men now for a number of months. I would say that's probably a safe bet. Now, the rest of these, I'm on the fence about pretty much all of them. But as far as that one goes, I would say that's a safe bet. I don't think Jubilee will lead the team. I think, it's going to be Storm or Cyclops or a classic X-Men leader, as it should be.
Iron Man and the X-Men, written by Dan Slott, described as X-Men as Avengers.
That's probably going to happen, but I doubt that that's the title, okay? Because there is the relationship, weirdly, strangely enough, with Tony Stark and Emma Frost, basically tying Iron Man into the X-Men world. But we'll see how long that lasts. If Dan Slott's writing it, I'm certainly not buying it.
Deadpool and the X-Men. All Deadpool and X-Force books pitched and developed by Rob fucking Liefeld.
Now, here he goes. He's going to go off on Rob. Now, if this was like 4 years ago, he'd probably be singing that Rob is a goddamn hero. But because now Rob has said stuff that goes against what he wants in comics, right? Rob has now become the enemy. And we made fun of Rob on this channel. Oh, what do you talk about? You never made fun of me before. No, of course we have, right? So this is what I'm talking about, being in the middle and looking through it without a biased lens. Deadpool and the X-Men. That's not going to be the title. It'll probably just be Deadpool, and there might be a secondary title, if that. Marvel's always going to work with Rob. Rob is the creator of Deadpool. He is Deadpool's biggest advocate right now. Okay. And you got the Deadpool movie coming right around the horizon. Rob is going to be all over that. Rob is making banku bucks off of the royalties of that character. You're never getting rid of Rob, my friend.
Holy shit. Uncanny Deadpool. Deadpool and Wolverine.
Uncanny Deadpool could be the secondary title. Deadpool and Wolverine I see as a mini series, not an ongoing thing, if that happens at all.
All new Wolverine. Uncanny
All new Wolverine, that will be X-23 because they're going to be pushing her hard this year in the next movie, in the Deadpool movie.
X-Force. Dark X-Force. It might be possible to look at this list and see that there's some, maybe there's some reason that this might be valid until you think about it for 5 seconds. Look, here's the thing.
No, I just went over pretty much the entire list. And you don't got the right to use the Things image, by the way.
It's the ever-loving blue-eyed thing. It's clobbering time.
Whoever made this up, because look, this shit is made up. They went through a lot of effort to formulate these things.
How so? Someone told them these are the plans. They type it out. It's not like someone sat there and went, Dane, I'm a grifter, and I need to make up a bunch of different titles and stir the bee's nest and get guys like Dane fucking buzzing. Not how people think, dude. At least not us normal folk.
And when you think about why, it kind of starts to make sense. So Uncanny X-Men, written by Gail Simone. Now, that's the thing that made me at first think that, oh, maybe there's some valid, maybe some truth to this.
There is, and I just explained to you the reasons why.
Because Gail Simone is writing the Free Comic Book Day X-Men book. And there are a lot of people, myself included, who kind of have hope that she is going to be staying on an X-Men book.
I think you're going to get your hopes come true. I met Gail Simone, by the way, back in 2011. When I met her, she was very nice. I mean, I don't know what her demeanor is like now, if you will, but we'll see.
After that, I would love to have a Gail Simone-led book. Fucking give it to me. But a Jubilee-led team. Now, since
sounds dumb as fuck. It's not because Jubilee's powers suck, and they do. It's because Jubilee, when she was brought in, now keep in mind, this is way back in the 90s, but she was supposed to be the youngest X-Men. She was also supposed to be the last X-Men. You know what I mean? Now, she can come up through the ranks like Kitty Pryde, get older, get wiser, which I'm sure she has, and eventually take on a younger crew of X-Men under her wing, if that's what they want to do. But if you're writing a book called Uncanny X-Men, it's not going to be Jubilee and a bunch of fucking New Mutants, right? It's going to be the fucking X-Men. At least it better be.
We know that this is bullshit, and I'll tell you why we know that in a minute. But it is bullshit. Why would they say Jubilee-led team? Because it's going to trigger the Chuds.
We don't give a fuck. We're not reading it anymore. We're just making content off. It doesn't trigger us at all. In fact, if they do that, I'm going to laugh. I might even check out the first issue because, I don't find Gail Simone to be that bad of a writer when she's not, advocating for a political side.
It's going to get the people that they, their readership, they're riled up. Because Jubilee, what? She's just got little fireworks powers, it kind of is pretty silly. The idea, I'm sure that someone writer could write that kind of book and make it fine. It'd be fine.
Yeah, I just told you, Jubilee leads a younger squad of mutants. That's like a Hope Summers or something. That's how you do it. That's how you make it work, Dane.
Makes sense. Maybe Jubilee would come out, even more badass than she's ever been or something. Who knows? But to me, knowing that this is bullshit, it just seems like it was formulated to get a response. Iron Man and the X-Men, described as X-Men as Avengers.
Well, they already have that. It's called Uncanny Avengers, where half the team is Avengers and half the team is the X-Men. So that's probably what that title will become.
I mean, there could be some valid reasons to think something like that could happen. I mean, there is. So basically, the entirety of this Iron Man run, almost that currently Gary Duggan's been doing, is been entwined with the Krakoa X-Men stuff and Emma Frost. Literally, the last several issues have been all under the kind of Fall of X banner and dealing with that stuff with Emma Frost. And then saying that Dan Slott is on it. Look, Chuds hate Dan Slott.
It's not that we hate Dan Slott. And I'm not a Chud, by the way. But let's just go with your definition. It's not that we hate Dan Slott. It's Dan Slott hates us. And then attacks the fans and then gets a reaction, right? You know, that hatred started elsewhere first, my friend.
They hate Dan Slott. And yeah, as Sandman says, he's not going to be writing that because he's already on 2 monthlies. And let's be fucking honest. The last time Dan Slott wrote an Iron Man book, it wasn't good. Most people didn't like it. It didn't sell well. Iron Man 2020, that whole thing. I couldn't even, like, you want to talk about how it's hard to write bad comics? That was pushing it close to bad for me. I was just like, I just think all of this is a really bad take on Iron Man. I didn't fucking enjoy it. I read like 2 or 3 issues. But so then we get to this one with Rob Liefeld. And now Rob Liefeld has been tweeting.
Now, here we go, right? It's not anything about Rob's skills or Rob's legacy in the business. It's the fact that Rob has said something this man doesn't like. So now, therefore, he sucks. All his merits and accolades and his legacy doesn't mean shit now.
You know, some vague cryptic shit, because that's what Rob Liefeld does. They bring Rob Liefeld back on to do a little side book here and there. That's the most they're willing to do for Rob. I wish
that might be the most Rob is willing to do for them. He's Rob fucking Liefeld, dude. He can make bank bucks fucking without having to ever draw another cover again. To be honest with you, the fact that Rob even lends his pencil to them, they should be grateful.
they wouldn't do that. I think that's fucking stupid. I think that he's not a fucking good writer. I think that he's not
not. He's a better artist and writer, 100%. And then you're gonna crap on, the same old 2 tired jokes, the Captain America chest and the feet. Yeah, really great original material there. But when you look at Rob's other body of work, Dane, there's a reason why he's Rob fucking Liefeld, dude.
a good artist. I think that he's a fucking dickhead and that he's trashed other people in the industry, left.
Yeah, and like your buddy Dan Slott has trashed other people in the industry. So do you call him a dickhead? No, but you don't, because he's only trashing the people that you don't like. It's not the fact of trashing that's happening to begin with. It's who is being trashed, right? So you have to look at it through that lens, Dane, if you want to be truly neutral.
And right, and that he's also kind of like done some mild trashing of like LGBT readers and stuff. So fuck Rob Liefeld. I don't think there's any reason for him to continue getting work, but what
I think we need to cancel Rob. I don't think he should get any work because he's saying things that goes against my cardinal beliefs. Fuck off, dude.
whatever. He's got a name. So that's the reason that they bring him back, is people know the name. So
That's right. He sells fucking books, Dane. It's called a business. You need to learn how this operates.
sells books. They're not going to give Rob Liefeld, who is just infamous for not being able to fucking keep a book current, not being able to get things out on time. They're not going to wrest several fucking titles from their biggest moneymaker in the year that a Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think they are going to give him several titles. I could see them giving him one or a mini series or something like that. I could definitely see one, and see if he can keep up, right? Because we've talked about this. Mark Miller has talked about this, that we need to bring some of the bigger names back to attract the readers again. Rob Liefeld would be one of those names. If it's like brand new Deadpool #1 from Rob Liefeld, people will flock to the store for that, Dane. It's called good business.
movie is coming out. They're not going to give that to Rob Liefeld. I'm sorry.
I think you're fucking wrong. I think they're absolutely going to give it to him.
It's just, that would be like,
Give it to me, baby.
yeah. There would never have been a more fatal mistake, in my opinion.
There'd never be a Deadpool if there wasn't for a Rob Liefeld, bud. Hey, bud, what's a Deadpool?
As far as like choosing someone to be on a book.
Yeah, so don't put the guy who created the character on the book. That'd be like saying LP, who is me, shouldn't be writing and handling all of Nyobi business. Are you fucking daft? There's no one else more qualified on the planet to handle that than me.
Not being able to draw feet is the least of his problems, to be honest. So that's not happening. All new Wolverine. I don't know. Maybe.
I explained to you what all new Wolverine is. That's going to be X-23. We've already seen all new Wolverine before. X-23 is going to be a major part of said Deadpool movie. So this whole 2024 is shaping up to be centered around the new X-Men line, the Deadpool movie, and, of course, the big shadow that hovers above all of it is the mutants coming to the MCU. Right? You have to look at it through the larger lens, Dane, and how this all is going to connect together like a spider web.
maybe, you know, but like Dark X-Force. I mean, look, Dark X-Force is already the dark one. Like, what are you talking about? Dark X-Force.
No, but you see what they can do with X-Force, because you're only used to X-Force, what it became after its initial run. So X-Force was basically the New Mutants when it first started off, right? New Mutants had ended. I think it was like New Mutants 100 or whatever it was, the final issue. And then became X-Force led by Cable. And you had Domino and you had Deadpool kicking around in there and you had a few others, right? They can easily sort of go back to that formula. And Dark X-Force would be like, you know, the dark team led by Wolverine that does all the dirty gerbs. You know what I'm saying?
X-Force is Dark X-Men. That's where some of the shadier shit happens. Actually, there was a Dark X-Men too. I know that. Sorry. That's a different thing. Nonetheless, Dark X-Force doesn't make any sense. And then Ms. Marvel and the New Mutants.
Again, it's all centered around what's coming up in 2024 for the MCU, right? So Ms. Marvel initially was an Inhuman, but in the TV series, they had her basically as a mutant. So they had to change her in the comic book, right? So she died and she got resurrected on the X-Men Island. And because of that resurrection, she's now officially a mutant, thus fixing up a very bad error on the part of Marvel in connection between the MCU and the comic books. And of course, they're going to use that now as a launch pad for Miss Marvel and the New Mutants. I absolutely see that one happening. I know that the girl that plays Miss Marvel, who I actually think is probably the better of all their actresses, to be honest with you, is going to write it. And I know she's a fan, and I hope she does a good job. Only time will tell, though.
Written by Rainbow Roll. School book. All new characters. This seems also intentionally, you know, kind of formulated. Right.
So I can see the school book because Scholastic is dominating in sales charts, right? When we look at graphic novels and manga and everything else, if we look at underneath all the same lens, just outside the American market, you know, the American Marvel and DC market, Scholastic is dominating. So of course Marvel is going to try and jump into that by introducing some of their books and some of their characters into that market in the hope that that will translate to more people coming and buying comics.
Gail Simone's presence in the X office was recently revealed, so that's not a surprise. What is a surprise is just about everything else. Okay.
So she's hanging around the X office, dude. Chances are she's there to, you know, get the lay of the land, what the editors are looking for this year. They're probably picking her brain on what she wants to do with the X-Men. She's probably picking out the team members. You know what I mean? There's lots of talk that goes on within those X offices.
So the reason that we now know this is you know, look, at the very least, the Deadpool Rob Liefeld stuff has been debunked. Which
by who?
Just goes to, it stands to reason that all of it is bullshit. And how do we know that that has been debunked? Well, new era of Deadpool finds the merc with the mouth in death's grip. This came out like the same day that I had started seeing these rumors going around.
This looks like this could be just a rumor too, my friend. You know, just because it's saying something that you like, just because a headline says something that you agree, it doesn't necessarily make it true.
Hitting stands in April. Deadpool will be written by Cody Ziegler, known for his acclaimed work on Miles Morales, Spider-Man, and drawn by Roj Antonio. Man, I'm white guying that up. The artist behind.
You're white guying that up. It's not a white guy's fucking mistake to say a name wrong. I'm sure lots of foreign people say names wrong as well, dude. Don't pinpoint that on color. Jesus Christ.
Some of Venom and Carnage's bloodiest recent adventures. Together, they'll take readers and wade guns blazing into a new age packed with Deadpool's specific brand of violence and lunacy, along with a heavy dose of deadly family drama. In addition to brand new archenemy named Death Grip.
That sounds like a Rob Liefeld character, bro. You know, just by reading this article, like a character named Death Grip sounds like a Rob Liefeld thing. You sure Rob's not involved in all this? You sure? You're that sure on it?
Who may very well live up to his name. The series will also feature Deadpool's daughter Ellie in a pivotal role. It's a father-daughter duo of the Marvel Universe isn't ready for. So there you go. Cody Ziegler writing Deadpool. Not Rob Liefeld. And look, here's this. This is a dope-ass cover. It's
not really. It's okay. I wouldn't call it dope ass. This back arm and the way this muscles look a little jacked. This foot, this like you see here, that foot looks great as it comes up, but The upper thigh looks way too short for what this is. Like if he was to stand up, this leg looks like it would extend a lot longer than this leg, and that's a problem. And then other than that, you got generic explosion in the background, right? And you got poorly drawn green dude here, a couple simple images here. There's nothing really fantastic about it. Like I said, it's not bad in a sense, but definitely seen better, Dane.
It's really cool. It is yet to be revealed if there will be bubbles buried in this jungle.
Bubbles buried in this jungle. Bubbles buried in this jungle.
You know what I mean?
Look, so you showed a thing where they're predicting who's going to be writing the X-Men and stuff, and you got Gail Simone quote tweeting it and laughing. So you think because she's doing that, it's not true. CM Punk said for months, never going back to the WWE. It was all a swerve, dude. You understand that, right? Like, you know, sometimes there's going to be like a big name for a movie, and they're like, yeah, no one's ever contacted me. And then right when it's time for shit to be promoted, the next thing you know, you find out that they're on the movie, right? People do it because they want the element of surprise. I guess you don't get that. There is no LGBTQ audience of any significant degree. And that's the problem with comics, right? And I'm just going to come out and say it. The thing is, it's not anti-LGBTQ propaganda. It's what it is you're making comic books for an entire demographic that isn't coming out and supporting the product in the numbers that you need them to do that to keep in business. And because they're not doing that, I would, focus more on the people that do buy your books. Not to say you can't focus on these people at all. They have a right to be represented. Don't get me wrong. But what we see now is over representation. That's, I think, is the problem. So there you go, man. When it comes right down to it, dude, this guy's looking for content. He's farming right now. You can tell he's farming right now. I know because I have farmed for content. I mean, I'm using him, right? But I mean, when we go back to this image here with Tyler Carpenter, it has nothing to do with anything, to be honest with you. But the fact that Dane is snooping around, hiding behind the shadows and trying to find out who the next fucking big villain in the comic book community is, fuck off, dude. You're the villain. It's LP. Peace out. Da-na-na-na-na-na.